I'm joined today by James White. He is a current UCC pastor, and he is located in the Goldtree, Oklahoma church. So let's start first, James. What is the UCC? What denomination is that?
It's the United Church of Christ. It is a combination. The merger took place in the early '60s between the Evangelical and Reformed Church and Congregational Christian Church. They're very liberal, and are partners, so to speak, with the disciples of Christ. If you're ordained in one, you can be a minister in the other, and vice versa. It seems here lately a lot of the church growth has come because of MCC churches that left the Metropolitan Community Church and joined the UCC. But
Okay, so
in fact,
well, let's tells us what it is, but I want to get right into kind of your situation. So you're going to be stepping down as pastor of the Goldtree, Oklahoma UCC Church, and the issue you have a problem with is same-sex marriage. So outline what is the church's position and what is your position that is so different that it's causing you to resign?
well, actually, at the local level, they agree with me. But the problem is that they don't want to leave the denomination. They're great people. I
But
mean, the
so I think,
local.
so let me reframe it because I want to walk people through it. Churches in the UCC recognize and can solemnize same-sex marriage, and that's what you disagree with, right? I just want to be totally explicit so our audience knows
Yeah,
what we're talking about.
absolutely. I first became a part of the UCC back in 2008 and was driving down to Oklahoma City. I was actually a part of a church that's mostly gay and lesbian for a while. And then once I graduated seminary, I had to find a preaching position. But the more I personal study I did on my own, the more I realized that what I had been taught in seminary and what I had learned through the denomination wasn't accurate.
So explain that. So what is your view of same-sex marriage?
I I define marriage as between a man and a woman. That comes from the Bible. What I've discovered over dealing with people in the denomination is that the more that they value experience over Scripture, the more liberal they are, and the more that they value the Bible over experience, then the more conservative they tend to be.
Now, as
So,
someone who has studied this and is a student of knowledge, so to speak, wouldn't it tell you that if people base their lives and their points of views more on their experience and their thinking than on what a book purportedly written by God tells them, maybe
correct.
that's more what we should be listening to. Maybe experience and logic tell us more about how we should treat gay and lesbian couples than a book clearly written by humans but supposedly written by God tells us. Maybe we could learn from that.
Well, let me make one thing clear, and this is probably where some conservatives would disagree with me on, is that I don't think of this as being in salvation. I think there are people who are gay and lesbian who are genuinely saved,
That's
who I
nice.
will see on the other side.
Okay.
And the thing about like my experience with Cathedral of Hope is that these people are genuinely wanting to do the right thing. They do reach out to people at the gay pride event, and there are thousands of people there. And it was really disheartening. It's like the Sunday night service after that weekend would take place, and you might have 3 or 4 new people show up when you literally handed out thousands of flyers and buttons, and you had people participate in this parade either on Friday or Saturday, and then very few people showed up. So
Yeah, that
I'm
could be
not
tough,
I'm
but
not questioning the salvation of the people of Cathedral of Hope at
yeah,
all.
and I'm not either, but salvation aside just for a second, it sounds like your opposition to gay marriage, lesbian marriage, is primarily Bible-based. In other words, you didn't mention one anti-gay argument, which is it's not natural. You didn't mention the it doesn't lead to reproduction. You didn't mention, well, it's a legal redefinition, and I don't like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but your opposition is mostly Bible-based. Is that right?
Well, I would say that, and here's the thing that really kind of threw a red flag up for me is that a lot of the people I spoke with that are gay and lesbian, um, whenever I would mention things like bigamy, polygamy, and other things, they never really wanted to draw the line there. They never really wanted to say, well, that stuff is bad. What I'm hearing now is the idea of marriage equality for everybody. We'll have to have some kind of limits, because if you don't, then what are you defining marriage
Well,
as?
that's interesting because, and again, you and I are talking, we're not having a legal discussion. Obviously,
Right.
religious texts have no bearing at all on legal structure in this country. Whether you
Right.
agree with that or not with me, we're leaving that out for this conversation. But let's address it
Okay.
from the point of view of the Bible. The Bible talks about men with multiple wives, men with multiple
Hmm.
wives and concubines,
Yes.
etc., etc.
Yes, it
So,
does.
is it not arbitrary to say that because of the Bible, you are against gay marriage, for example, although the Bible talks about multiple wives, concubines, etc.? It talks about stoning your wife if she's not a virgin on the wedding day, etc.
Right. That's
Isn't it
correct.
all just kind of cherry picking?
Well, the thing about that is, and I'm glad you brought it up, is that you really can't find one example of a healthy relationship where somebody did have multiple wives. I think uh, the Bible mentions in First Corinthians that we have the Old Testament as an example for us. And really, if you think about it, could you really have two, three, four wives and love each one of them equally and the same? And I don't think you can.
So let's
Uh,
use that. I like that. I like that you're applying that question, which is let's just think about this logically and say, can you really be married to four people and love them equally and have that type of relationship? And you're thinking the answer is no. What is it about a relationship between one man and one woman? I'm sorry, between two men or between two women, where you couldn't have the same type of love that you have in a male female relationship, applying just the kind of casual logic test that you applied just a second ago.
Well, to add something further to the design of marriage, I think the thing that makes marriage so great is that you're married to somebody who thinks differently than you do. By during the last 13 plus years, my wife has challenged me, stretched me, really.
Your wife has
I will.
stretched you?
I would say. Well, just when I first got married, I was very selfish and very self-centered, and I did not even realize how much so. During the time we've been married, I've learned how to care for others in a way that, you know,
But James,
when you're dealing with
what you're
when you
saying,
deal.
James, if I may, you're going
Mhm.
down an incredibly misogynistic path, which is suggesting that only women can teach men how to care for others. You're also using very anecdotal evidence, which, as a student as someone who is an educated person, I'm sure you know that anecdotal evidence is not really what we should talk about to discuss broad policy or ideas. It seems incredibly offensive to so many men to say that women are what is needed to learn to care about others.
Well, I think it goes two ways. I think there are things that she's learned about life from me as well. The I'm contrasting that to two men or two women because, at least in my opinion, it's a mirror image. You're with somebody who does think like you do and isn't really going to challenge you on certain things.
I just think that
And
this is a very silly argument, though, James, because the idea that you think the same as anyone else who is the same gender as you, and therefore you wouldn't learn from marriage. I've honestly, it's an interest. I'm interested in this idea because I've never heard it before, but it's not a very strong argument, is it?
well, we'll have to agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah.
I know me personally, my life is very fulfilling.
Good.
And
Now, if you were attracted to men, if you were born just being attracted to men, would you not be fulfilled if you were able to marry the man that you loved? Hypothetically, right? Would you not find fulfillment in that?
that's an interesting question. I probably, honestly, I don't know. I'm too.
It's so hard for you to imagine not being straight because you were born straight, correct?
Yeah, I'm not going to completely dismiss the science that I think you're referring to, but I think there needs to be more done as far as whether or not you can be born gay. I think there needs to be more scientific research. I'm
But so
open
my question to
to
you
what
is,
they
I
have
guess,
to say.
did
But
you ever decide, James, when you were, I don't know, 7, to say, okay, well, right now I'm completely neutral between being attracted to men or women. I think I'm going to choose to be attracted to women. You never had that revelation, did you?
well, most of my time up until the age of 10, I was either playing basketball, football, or kickball. So
That's fair, perfectly fair. So at 10 is that when you made the decision? You could have gone either way. You could have been into guys, you could have been into girls, and you said, "Well, I'm 10, I've played enough kickball. Now I'm going to choose to be into women." Is that how it went for you, or did you at some point just realize you're attracted to women?
that's an interesting question. Who's the actual first girl I was attracted to? Probably sixth grade. I knew a girl named Shannon who had failed a grade, and so she was a little bit more, shall I say, physically mature than some of the girls, and
So
she
you were
kind of stood out.
attracted to your classmates' breasts, and that was a physical reaction you had. You never said, "I'm going to decide today to like my classmates' breasts." That just happened. Okay, I think I see that you're kind of putting up some obstacles, but I think the audience kind of gets where I'm going with this. We are out of time, James. I wish you the best of luck. I'm sorry that your opposition to marriage equality is leaving you to leave your position. I hope you find a new position, and I do thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.